What's going on, everyone? So, Adam Silver had his press conference for the All-Star weekend, and it was actually a very good press conference. He hit on a bunch of different points from just like NCAA to improvements to the NBA, that they're reassessing the G League Ignite team and may go a different direction with that. It's going to be really interesting to see how the NBA shapes up in the next few years. Talked a little bit about expansions and all that stuff. It's a really good interview and just or questionnaire questions and answers. And he is one of the better commissioners of all sports. He just is really charismatic up there. He answers the questions very thoughtful. He's not afraid to kind of tackle questions head on. I really like that. I really like listening to him speak on the matters and, take accountability when he needs to take accountability. He has talked like the All-Star weekend. He was talking about, how poorly it's been perceived lately. And he even said and addressed that like, hey, it is a problem. We are aware of it. We made the mistake of trying to focus so much on the entertainment side of things, kind of went further and further away from basketball, specifically talking about the All-Star game. So we'll see how the All-Star game looks and if that got addressed and is any better at all, but he definitely said that there will be improvements. But one of the big things that he talked about was just the new changes to like the CBA and how they want to keep just the parity throughout the league and have various teams, small market to big market, all have an opportunity and chance to win and compete for NBA championships, right? He talked about how, he could see even just 10 years ago, like somebody like a Victor Wembanyama was the example he used. That, if he would have went to a San Antonio team, a small market team, people would have been like, oh, that sucks. He's never going to win a chip or he's never really going to have a chance. Not necessarily San Antonio specifically because they've been really good they were really good for a very long time. But the idea of like, a guy goes to Charlotte and it's like, well, how long is he going to be there before he gets traded or demands a trade or leaves in free agency? And he wants teams and organizations because he acknowledged the dynasty factor. And he acknowledged that dynasties are good for the league and they are good for fans. Like fans really buy into dynasties, which is true. They do. But he wants, as he put it, dynasties to be built the right way. And that is where it could impact a team like the Lakers and many teams, period, right? So we'll start with the Lakers side, and then I want to kind of break down just dynasties and teams in general. And of course, I want to hear your thoughts and opinions, so let me know down in the comments below. Also, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. But the Lakers. The Lakers have always lived by the motto of get the stars. You hear all the news, all of the media headlines are the Lakers are going to go after that impact guy, that third star in the offseason. A Donovan Mitchell, a Trae Young, a Kyrie, a whomever, right? Stars win championships. And Adam Silver's talked about this specifically. Silver said himself that the stars are always going to be the guys that are going to win the most games and win championships and dominate the game of basketball because it's true. And that's why the Lakers, their entire existence, have always gone after multiple stars and have always taken the risks of, a Gary Payton, a Karl Malone, a Steve Nash, Dwight Howard, right? Trying to get and build these super teams because those are how you win 17 NBA championships over the years, right? Think of all the teams throughout history that have won championships. They, for the most part, have been far and away the best teams. Think of all the dynasties over the years in the NBA. They all were ridiculously stacked. The Chicago Bulls had one of, if not the greatest rosters ever in NBA history. Right? You look at teams like the Lakers over their years of just dominance, right? With guys, James Worthy, you have Byron Scott, you have Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, to Shaq and Kobe with Rick Fox and Robert Horry and Derek Fisher. And it's ridiculous to, Pau Gasol, Kobe Bryant, Lamar Odom, Derek Fisher. And then you look at teams like Miami with, LeBron, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, LeBron with Cleveland, with Kyrie, Kevin Love. Now you look at the Golden State Warriors, their big three, and then you add in Kevin Durant. it's always been the star power, right? And usually the team that has the most stars and the most balanced stars usually wins. So the Lakers love to go get the stars and find that balance. They could get, say, a Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell, Anthony Davis, and LeBron James is a very balanced big three that has a lot of potential for success and multiple championships, and gives the Lakers an opportunity post LeBron James to continue to be dominant and potentially win more championships, right? Because a Donovan Mitchell and Anthony Davis is a great foundation, especially if we're moving into a direction where you're not going to be able to have 3 stars on your roster anymore unless you draft them. But that's where the problem lies with the Lakers, because the Lakers are going to have to adapt as we continue to progress through these years. And it might take a couple years, right? Like, let's say, again, just argument's sake, let's say the Lakers do add Donovan Mitchell. Well, then you're going to have a year or two where you're going to have a big 3. But then post, whenever LeBron James leaves, it's more likely than not going to be Donovan Mitchell and Anthony Davis for however long that they are under contract, right? And the Lakers are very likely not going to be able to ever go get that 3rd star unless they end up drafting some guy or one of their young guys, say, a Max Christie or whatever, ends up emerging as a star. So unless something like that happens, you're kind of locked in, because they're trying to get rid of teams being able to go and make the trades for like a Kevin Durant, or, go and make the trades. Like next year's, the way that the new CBA is going to kick in, right? Like James Harden to the Clippers never would have happened. Kevin Durant to the Suns never would have happened. Bradley Beal never would have happened. Like there's a lot of these things that just are never going to be able to happen again in this current iteration of the CBA. Maybe that changes at some point, but also in the superstar aspect in general, right? Adam Silver talked about, wanting, like, he's fine with dynasties and super teams as long as they're built the right way. But which dynasty and super team was built only through the draft and without various trades? Right? A lot of dynasties, even players that were drafted, a lot of them were through trades, right? And that's just how things play out. That's how things work. But take the Warriors dynasty. Yes, the Warriors won a championship before and after Kevin Durant, but how many do they win without Kevin Durant? Seriously, like, do they win one without KD? Do they win none without KD? Now, they definitely won that one before KD, and they would have won again, and it was 2021, right? So bare minimum, you're talking 2, but would they have gotten those other 2 without Kevin Durant? Especially after the Cleveland Cavaliers went and won and beat them, it was believed that Cleveland, that's it. The Warriors are done. And then they go and get Kevin Durant. And the Kevin Durant situation was like something that the Kevin Durant to the Warriors is basically what sparked everything. Kevin Durant to the Warriors is the thing that it was just this random situation that will probably never happen again. And the Warriors were able to capitalize on it, which is great, right? And it took several dominoes even before, right? Them being able to go and work out and clear the cap space and have the opportunity to go and get KD, like that was something that wasn't really perceived. And then even after, right, the Warriors win a championship. And how did they win a championship? They traded Kevin Durant for D'Angelo Russell, which then they were able to trade D'Angelo Russell to go get Andrew Wiggins, who Andrew Wiggins came in and was like their second best player during that championship. So again, you're talking about not natural things. You're talking about you traded one guy to get another guy, which then you traded another guy. Like it wasn't fully built through the draft. So if the idea and the vision is, okay, we want to get it to where essentially the only way you're ever going to be able to compete is strictly through players that you draft and develop, then almost every championship we've ever seen wouldn't have happened, right? Because again, there are multiple circumstances, players that were signed. Andre Iguodala, like, do the Warriors ever win a championship if they don't get Iggy? I mean, Iggy was the MVP that first one, right? So it's just, again, there's all these other specific dominoes going back to the Chicago Bulls, right? Getting guys like a Dennis Rodman. Like, does that happen in this current iteration of the CBA? Right? Again, if the goal is to shift it to where basically you draft your guys, you build through the draft, you get the occasional, like the free agency isn't for the stars. The free agency is for the role guys. The free agency is for the rotation players. You go through free agency and you get all of the, your vet minimum guys. They want to stop the changing of the guards, so to speak. And I mean, if you look at the NBA, the last handful of years, if not longer, the last team to repeat were the Golden State Warriors. And then you had the Lakers, you had the Bucks, you had the Warriors again, you had the Denver Nuggets. And this year the NBA is wide open once again. So, and even before that, you had the Toronto Raptors. So you had the Golden State repeat, and then you had Toronto, the Lakers, the Bucks, the Warriors again, and then the Denver Nuggets. So in a 5-year span, you've had 5 different NBA champions. That's what the NBA wants. The NBA wants every year there is somebody different, right? And you look at a team like the Denver Nuggets, who just won, and I get the majority, right? You look at the Warriors, well, their big 3 was through the draft. Yes, that's correct. But again, going and getting Andre Iguodala, being able to get guys like Andrew Bogut to fill out the bench with various players, various high-end pieces, right? A Sean Livingston, things like that. The Denver Nuggets, right? Guys like KCP. Yes, you look at Jokic, you look at Michael Porter Jr., right? All these guys, but they also have Aaron Gordon and they have KCP, Bruce Brown, right? These are all guys that they acquired beyond the draft, outside of the draft. And look, I love the parity too. I love seeing all the competitiveness, right? Like, the more competitive the NBA is, the better. It's why the NBA is trying to do these things like the in-season tournament and the play-in tournament and stuff, because they want to keep it as competitive as possible. And the more competitive basketball is, the better and more entertaining it is, right? Especially during the rigmarole of the NBA season, which, again, Adam Silver touched on and addressed. And, he said, we get that. That's kind of part of an 82-game season. And, if you can have games matter more because every team has 2 guys that are stars and every team has, Adam Silver acknowledged as well, which is, again, why I appreciate Adam Silver so much, right? He even acknowledged that, bad organizations are bad ran organizations are bad ran organizations. There's not really much you can do in that regard, right? The organization still has to do their job, still has to do the due diligence, still has to handle things the correct way. But, if every year there's maybe a handful of teams in the league that have a real chance to win a championship, the idea is to have it to where basically 1 through 8 have a real chance to win a championship. That the teams that are in the play-in were there just because of circumstances rather than they are just not a great team. Say Denver, they lose Jokic for a month or whatever. And so they end up in the play-in. And it's they could easily still win an NBA championship. They're only in the play-in because Jokic missed 2 months or whatever, right? That's kind of where the NBA wants to get. And so teams are going to have to adjust. Teams are going to have to make those changes. Teams aren't going to be able to buy championships. It's what Adam Silver really highlighted, right? Silver said, we don't want teams to be able to buy their way to a championship. No one really wants that. I don't know if no one really wants that. To me, that's what separates the good teams from the bad. Because there are a lot of teams and a lot of owners that are okay being mediocre. There are a lot of teams and a lot of owners that are okay just kind of hey, as long as we make the playoffs, as long as we make the play-in, we're good, right? We have a product out there. People show up, right? As long as we're selling tickets, where you see teams like the Warriors and the Lakers and the Celtics and teams like that throughout the history that have had all this success, it's because they're willing to pony up the dollar. I mean, even Steve Ballmer with the Clippers, right? The Clippers haven't won a championship. They don't have the success that some of these other teams do, but he's willing to spend and do whatever it takes. He just hasn't had the balls sort of drop his way yet. But if he keeps approaching it the way that he's approaching it, at some point he's probably going to break through. And that's the thing. Like, I think if a team is willing to go all in to win championships and want to, take advantage of that regard, then that's what separates the good organizations and the organizations that are willing to pony up from the bad ones that are okay with just being mediocre. Because all these teams have the money to do it at this point. It's just most of them are like, well, instead of us making $10 billion this year, we if we do that, we'd only make $5 billion. And it's like, come on, man, just you could have a super team. And yes, there are some destinations that players don't want to go to and aren't premier destinations and whatnot. But that's why I think trades and being able to do things beyond just the draft are positive, right? Like a team like Milwaukee. Yes, Giannis has already won an NBA championship, but Dame never would have went to Milwaukee. And yeah, look, Milwaukee's been kind of questionable, but the idea of like Dame and Giannis, right, could win an NBA championship. And if they do win, it's like, that's great. You just got Dame a championship. He never would have went there, or he never would have won a championship. So it's like those kind of things that happen. Or Donovan Mitchell to Cleveland, right? Cleveland's the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. Donovan Mitchell never would have went to Cleveland. That trade never happens, more likely than not, based on what the CBA and what Adam Silver and everyone wants to do. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. And again, the Lakers are really going to have to adapt and start making some changes. They're going to have to, you still got about another probably year or two to go and operate the way that they currently are. But at some point, you're going to have to make that adjustment. And you're going to have to look and okay, we're not going to be able to just kind of use our LA, hey, we're the Lakers, we're LA, we got money, let's go. And the Lakers don't have as much money as many of these owners anymore. So it causes more change. They're going to have to adapt. They're going to have to make changes. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass a question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Think the Lakers are going to have to make changes? Do you think, no, Lakers can still be able to operate? I mean, there's always going to be workarounds. There's always going to be ways to kind of finagle things or whatever. And it's always possible players, like, as we get to this new age, right? Players take discounts and all kinds of stuff because they want to win championships or whatever. Or, it's like, I could take a $10 million discount and sign with the Lakers and I'll make an extra like $50 million in endorsements, where if I stay in Portland or whatever, I'm not going to get that money, right? Yeah, they could pay me an extra $20 million a year, but I could make 3 times that just being in LA. So there's always workarounds. Still going to have to make some changes. Anyway, again, let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Lets me enjoy these types of videos. Truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.